He didn't even look at her like she was human. In front of flashing cameras and 300 gasping elites, he grabbed the boiling cup of coffee and poured it straight over her head. It burned, it stained, it humiliated. Laughter exploded, loud, cruel, triumphant. "You're nothing," he sneered, as if degrading a black woman in a $10,000 ballroom made him a god. Phones rose, capturing every second of his arrogance. He strutted away, certain his power was eternal. He never noticed the woman standing motionless, scalding rivers running down her face, was the one who already owned him. And in minutes, the world would watch a billionaire become nothing. Her name is Amara Ellison, but tonight her name tag reads only guest. No one in the grand ballroom of the Harrington Plaza recognizes the woman in the simple black gown that cost more than the chandelier overhead, because it carries no logo and she never gave them a reason to look twice. 10 years ago, she was invisible for different reasons. She was the night shift data clerk who rode the freight elevator so the partners wouldn't have to share space with her. Back then, her father, Marcus Ellison, pushed a buffer on these same marble floors until his knees gave out and the cancer took the rest. When the firm discovered he could no longer keep their empire spotless, they marched him out the service door like trash. Preston Harrington III, the Silver Spoon heir, signed the termination letter himself and never learned the man's name. 3 months later, Marcus was dead, buried in a county soil because the bills outlived him. That night, Amara stood in the rain and swore she would one day buy the building where her father had been discarded, and she would do it without ever letting them see her coming. She kept the promise. From a one-bedroom in Harlem, she built Obsidian Capital, and algorithm by algorithm, trade by trade, until her fund became the silent majority shareholder in half the companies these men bragged about at cigar lounges. She never attended galas. She never allowed photographs. Wall Street called her the Ghost. Preston Harrington still thought the Ghost was some reclusive white man in Connecticut. Tonight is the night she stops being a ghost. She bought the entire head table under a blind trust. She walked in alone. She stood exactly where the waitstaff usually stood, because she knew his eyes would slide over her the way they once slid over her father. She wanted the trap was perfect. Preston spots her the way a hunter spots easy prey. He is drunk on vintage champagne and inherited invincibility. Flanked by laughing legacy princes and Tom Ford, he strides over, coffee cup steaming in his manicured hand. He doesn't ask her name. He doesn't need to. In his mind, she is background decoration that forgot its place. He tilts the cup slowly, theatrically, making sure every phone catches the arc of scalding liquid. It hits her scalp with a hiss. Skin blisters instantly. Coffee floods her eyes, her ears, soaks the silk at her throat, drips from her chin onto marble her father once waxed at 4 a.m. for minimum wage. The room inhales as one. Then the laughter comes, nervous at first, then full-throated, because no one wants to be the only one not laughing at Preston Harrington's joke. He wipes his fingers on her shoulder as if she is furniture. "Clean that up," he orders the heir, already turning away. Amara does not move. She lets the pain carve itself into memory. Every droplet is a witness. Every smirk is a signature on his own ruin. By the time she reaches the lobby, the video is viral. Within 6 minutes, it has 20 million views. #CoffeeBillionaire climbs every trend list on Earth. Stock in Harrington and Locke, the 147-year-old firm Preston is set to inherit in full tomorrow morning, begins sliding after hours. Board members wake up to emergency texts. Lawyers reach for antacids. Preston posts a meme of a crying Michael Jordan and goes to bed laughing. 7:03 a.m. Preston storms into the executive conference room on the 42nd floor in yesterday's tuxedo shirt, still smelling of last night's victory. The board is already assembled, faces gray. On the table sits a single folder and one extra chair that was not there yesterday. Preston slams his palm down. "Sign the continuity papers. I'm taking full control at 9, just like we planned." The door opens again. Amara walks in, wearing a charcoal suit sharp enough to cut glass, hair pulled back so every healed blister on her forehead is visible under the fluorescent lights. No one speaks. She places a black business card in front of Preston. Amara Ellison, chairwoman and majority shareholder, Obsidian Capital. His mouth opens, closes, opens again. She does not wait. Obsidian Capital now owns 68.4% of Harrington and Locke voting shares, acquired quietly over 7 years, while you were busy firing janitors and pouring coffee on women you assumed had no power. Your board invoked the morality clause at 5:12 this morning. Your father's legacy shares transferred to us at market price the moment the video hit 100 million views. Your personal assets are frozen. Your name has been removed from the building directory. Preston tries to stand. His knees betray him. He collapses back into the chair. Amara leans in just enough for only him to hear. "My father cleaned your toilets for 23 years. You threw him out like trash when he got sick. Last night, you reminded the world exactly who you are. Today, the world reminded you who I am." She slides the folder forward. Inside, his pre-signed resignation, a non-disclosure that will silence him for life, and transfer documents that make Obsidian the sole owner of everything that once carried the Harrington name. Security appears. 2 men who once escorted her father out the same service door. They wait. Preston signs with a hand that will not stop shaking. By noon, the building's name has changed. A new brass plaque is already being bolted where the old one said Harrington and Locke for 147 years. It now reads Ellison Plaza. Amara stands on the front steps as workers remove the last letter. Cameras swarm. Reporters shout questions about forgiveness, about lawsuits, about whether this was revenge. She looks straight into the lens that once recorded her humiliation and answers only once. This was not revenge. This was correction. The same system that let a man pour boiling coffee on a black woman because he thought she was nothing is the same system that let him fire a dying janitor because he thought he was nothing. Today, that system learned a new truth. Nothing is exactly what he is now. She walks back inside, through the front door this time, past the lobby her father was never allowed to enter as a man, and takes the executive elevator to the top floor that once belonged to the people who killed him. The world shares the video 10 million more times. Young black girls save screenshots of the new building sign. Old white men in country clubs delete tweets. And somewhere, Marcus Ellison's grave finally gets the headstone it was denied for a decade, paid for by the fortune her daughter took from the man who took his life. Power does not always announce itself with noise. Sometimes it waits, silent and scalding, until the people who poured the coffee feel the burn forever.